same.
40 years of hurt in the Challenge Cup! 40 years of hurt as a team! Hull KR have won the Challenge Cup!
The wire in Wembley rain, Tom Davies try helped ease the pain. We topped the league, we would not fall. The mighty Robin above them all. An Old Trafford clash with Wigan's might. We burned the sky with red that night. When he forced it, the game was done. History made.
Oh, it's an interception, and it's the boy from Wigan that will win it from Hull Kingston Rovers. And Superman guy from Joe Georges. A Superman performance from Hull Kingston Rovers. They win the treble. They win a grand final.
Red and white, we do believe a grand final win to complete the three. The greatest year in Rovers history.
Whether you are watching on YouTube, or listen on podcast, welcome back to another episode of the Robin Pod, the unofficial Hull Kingston Rovers podcast. On this week's episode, we look back on an emphatic victory over Lock Lane in the Challenge Cup as the performance of Robins put Community Club Lock Lane to the sword on a wet and windy night down HU9. We'll also react to the fourth round draw, which has handed Rovers a trip to face the Huddersfield Giants. Attention then turns to the league as we preview the Super League opener against York Knights. We'll bring you all the latest squad news as Rovers go strong. And as always, we've got your questions and your contributions to get through. Plenty of opinions, debates, and talking points from the red and white faithful, plus all the latest news and chatter from us around Sul Group Craven Park. And I'm delighted to let you know, for the very first time in 2026, I'll be joined by James Perlin and Gary Lee. But let's not forget, the Robin Pod is powered by Budget Ties Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Before we get into the Lock Lane game, James, it's a pleasure to have you back on the Robin Pod. Everybody who comes onto Robin Pod who's not been on since last season, I asked the same question. Hasn't it sunk in yet? The treble winning season.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back on, Chris. Always good to be on the pod. No, it just hasn't. It's just still. We've watched the game, the grand final back a couple of times since, Christmas, etc., and the Wembley, and it just still hasn't sunk in. I think it'll take a while to sink in, but it's just unbelievable. You look back and just think where the club has come from and what they've achieved, and we're one of the 5 teams to actually win a treble. And I would have thought it would have been okay.
Yeah, and Gary,
this year got relegated, and we're there, done it.
I know, James, it's absolutely crazy. Gary, are you like Scott Lee, where you're literally watching it on repeat every single day of the week?
It's like, yeah, whenever I've got naught to do, it's on. I think I'm making excuses to work downstairs now, because I work from home. Work downstairs and just have it on in the background. And it's still, when you watch the Challenge Cup final, you still can't wait for that little kick through by mate, can you? And then watch the referee with a background saying try, and then in the grand final, you just think to yourself, when you see Mikey Lewis score that try and go through Farrell and sidestep French, you're like, wow, this it just brings a smile to your face. It still hasn't, and just see the crowd's reaction, just how much it meant to everybody, every single person that was there. It still gives me. I'm getting all back of my neck's all kind of tingling now, just talking about it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, special moments, and you know what? They're not moments to forget, are they? That they are moments to treasure, the moments to reflect upon, and the moments to hopefully propel us to great success as well. Because what's coming out of the club at the moment, James, is they've had a taste of it but they want more, and now they've had a taste of it. They really want to chomp on it because what was really interesting, we'll come on to it in terms of the podcast that Paul Aiken did, the Back 10 podcast, All Out Rugby League. I think he was posed a question about being hunted and the Robins now the team to be knocked off the perch. Paul Aiken said, no, we're the hunters. We want to go for more. We're hunting down them trophies. And that's refreshing to hear, isn't it? Because the big talk, James, was about creating a dynasty. You know, trophies in isolation, don't get me wrong, are absolutely brilliant. The moments that we've enjoyed as supporters, you know, last season, the Challenge Cup, the League Leaders Shield, the Grand Final win, absolutely made. We'll never forget them. But what this club is striving to do now is then go, no, this season we want to win it again. And that's it's a real mindset that we've not become accustomed to, but it shows you what we're in for in 2026, because this side is desperate to win more, and it's refreshing, it's great, and I can't wait to see what comes up and what happens.
No, I can't. I think you're right. All the noise that are coming out of the club are just sort of saying, we just want to do it again. You know, and why wouldn't we? You know, we've set that benchmark. You know, we're going to set the benchmark for years. We've now put that bar up to where we want to go to, and you know, everything that the players are saying, the officials are saying, the board are saying, etc. It just shows they want to go ahead and sort of do something that nobody else has ever done. That's, you know, get a double treble, and you know, why not? Why not? You know, we don't want to be one season wonders, as Elliot Minchella said in the press today. You know, they're going to go for it, and like I said, I think other teams will raise the game against us because they want to knock us down. But I honestly believe we've got the quality now and the strength in depth to withhold it and put, you know, sort of keep ourselves at the top of the table. Look at that squad that's come out today. I'm thinking, who the hell's going to leave out? I came up with about 5 or 6 permutations about who's going to be playing, and I'm thinking, you know, that, you know, a few years ago, thinking, well, you know, who's left standing who can play? You know, patch somebody up. We don't have to worry about that now. We're looking at that squad and thinking, there's some bloody good players are going to be left out of that squad on there tonight, and you know that's great to see.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic luxury, and we're going to come on to the York game later on in the Robin pod. Gary, you know, we're not very well liked at the moment, are we, the Robins? No, we seem to have ruffled a few feathers in terms of supporters from other clubs and on about it. I just think that some people just always wanted to put the Robins back in the box, and we broke out with it. And because we've done that, we seem to be I don't know. Like I said, supporters of a club don't really like us at the moment, and I'm reveling in it because do you know what? We're long suffering.
It's not good look jealousy, is it? It's one of the, it's I just take it with the feet. It's just nice, isn't it? It's just great. It's great the focus is on us, good or bad, and it's really good that supporters, players, and the club are reflecting that reflecting that jealousy back in a really positive way, not getting dragged into it. You know, the proof, sound like a cliche machine, but the proof of the pudding, isn't it, is we've got 3 trophies. You know, a possible 4th in a couple of weeks. We're through to the next round of the Challenge Cup, and that's where we are. Good luck, everybody. I think it's just good luck. Everybody trying to follow us. You know, I think like James, I've got a really good feeling about this season.
Yeah.
And I think we'll prove even more people wrong in 2026.
Yeah, that's the sentiment I hold. And I'll tell you what, James, what's become apparent is that I keep mentioning, you know, supporters of the sides. They don't seem to like us celebrating success. And I'm like, bloody hell, well, what are we in sport for? Why do we support our teams?
Exactly,
You can't crow about it. If you can't celebrate, if you can't, you know, stick your chest out, and you can't, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's a social media era where, you know, there's a lot of people there to write. But I tell you what, why shouldn't we be proud of what we've done? Why shouldn't we shout about it? Why shouldn't we celebrate it? Because I keep telling my eldest, who I'm taking to York on Thursday night as we record this. Hey, mate, this might not be for long. So enjoy every single moment, soak it up, celebrate it, shout about it loud, because your time, you never know when it's going to go, do you? So let's just embrace it. But some supporters of other sides don't seem to like that, do they? That we are sticking our chest out and saying, yeah, we are the best team.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Gary hit the nail on the head when he said it's pure jealousy. You think about how many times people have said, when it's been this, the same clubs winning the grand final, winning the league leader shield, wouldn't it be great if somebody else, another team, won it? Well, we came along and did it, and then suddenly thinking, well, actually, we wanted to do that. You got Warrington, you got the other lot, Leeds. Yeah, look at Lee won a Challenge Cup, but we've done it before them, and they're just jealous about it. And like I said, we've had enough suffering over the last God knows how many years we are going to celebrate. We're going to enjoy it because, as you said, John, and I know from the 80s, it doesn't last, and you've got to enjoy and savor every single moment. And I've said that to plenty of people of the last last season, end of last season, grand finals. Enjoy every single minute of this because you don't know when it's going to last.
Yeah, and Gary, I mean, February is a crazy month, isn't it? We're going to talk about the Lock Lane game next. Lock Lane, York in the Super League opener, with a standalone fixture. We're opening up Super League. Then we play Brisbane in the World Club Challenge. Then they get on a plane and go to Las Vegas to play Leeds Rhinos in the competitive fixture.
Another in our home game.
Yeah, what a time to be a Robin. It's just, crazy times, enjoyable times. Just what a time to be a Robin, because these times may never come again. What we're hoping is, and what the rhetoric behind it is, actually, this could be the start of this become the norm. And that is what we're all hoping, isn't it? We all want to be down at the top table. I mean, don't get me wrong, my overdraft might not be able to finance. These opportunities are absolutely amazing. But on the serious note, it does cost
my
a lot.
delivery, the postman coming to our house is just fed up of delivering. Okay,
not another share.
Another one. Christ, Gary, come on. Yeah, another one.
But again, you know what? Who knows when it'll come again? So anyway, let's move on, because we are talking about silverware. We're talking about the 2026 season, and the Robins kicked off their competitive season with 104 points in their victory against Lock Lane. Of course, that was a Challenge Cup third round. And James, the game went pretty much how it should have done. What I will say is we had Lock Lane on the last Robin pod, and what a great experience it was for them. But when you look at the Rovers side that they selected, and you look at Lock Lane, the scoreline was pretty much par for what it should have been.
Yeah, I think it's one of those rare occasions when the result was never in doubt for the game. But I came away from that thinking, not that Rovers have humiliated Lock Lane, because I think they're probably sort of, as Brad was saying last week, he said it's just a once in a lifetime experience for them. And I think fair dues to them, they give a good account of themselves and never gave up. They put a stint in, and they gave a really good account of themselves. But I also think from a Rovers perspective, I thought it was a thoroughly professional performance. They could easily have just sort of ambled through, and they're going about 30, 40 points. But they didn't. They went. But it's important because it's the first time a lot of the players have played this season, and I thought they put a thoroughly professional performance on. And I think from a Willie Peters point of view, he probably got more out of that game than he would have done against a team like Leeds or Wigan, etc. Because it's all about attitude. He talks about attitude all the time, and it could have been easy for some of the players to think, this is a piece of cake and not going to put the effort in. But I thought there's some very strong performances on Friday night that has given him a lot of food for thought. I was impressed by Lawton, I was impressed with Leyland, I was impressed with Broadbent as ever. So I think he's given him something to think about. And looking at the squad the squad he's put out today, I think he's picked Leyland and Lawton in that squad. And I think that's on the back of the way they performed on Friday night.
Yeah, and Gary, on the last Robin pod last week, we talked about the fact that look, there's players who are chomping at the bit to be in that first team squad. They want to be in the World Cup Challenge, want to go to Las Vegas, they want to be part of that, what's going on over there. And also, this game against Loch Lane wasn't just about what happened on the pitch, it was how they conducted themselves, it was all about the preparation, it was just So, like James just alluded to there, this game against Loch Lane was about, actually, it doesn't matter who you're playing, you set the bar now. This is a level of performance we expect. This is the preparation we expect. And in years gone by, we could have laboured to a victory over Loch Lane. Don't get me wrong, I think we'd have beat them, but we could have laboured and he's gone, yeah, that's satisfactory. But the bar is so high now that ultimately Loch Lane were at the end of a bit of a drubbing, because the mindset in the camp right now, what's been set over the last few years is so high that the players reacted to it because they want a stake of claim to be in that first team come York, come Leeds, come Brisbane, come Leeds. What a great place to be is that is.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have quite easily have just been let's just put, like James said, let's just put 30 points against them. Let's just get it done, get out of the way. But I think because we're the Challenge Cup holders, the treble winners, the best team in Super League at the moment, I think it was a real testament to how professional the club can be on and off the field, paying that real respect to Loch Lane and their fans in the build-up. Nobody was saying, I didn't hear any of the Rovers players or the press beforehand talking about, we're going to drub them, we're just going to, it's just a walk in the park. It was really professional, wasn't it? Yeah. Even down to the toss and, the toss of the coin in the tunnel. It was all really, I know it was a proper game, but it was like the proper start to the season, wasn't it? Like you say, set the bar high now and we'll carry on, no matter who the opposition is.
Yeah, and I suppose that's mantra, isn't it, James? And as daft as it sounds, that mantra goes, whether you're playing Loch Lane or you're playing Brisbane Broncos, you set up, you prepare, the warm-ups are the same, how you conduct yourself, everything is the same, and that is proper professionalism, and that's what Willie Peters has brought to his club in terms of, and Paul Lakin and the board, but that ultra professionalism, that is what's seen us through at the moment, and that's what leads me to believe that the last season wasn't a one-off, because the professionalism and the hunger and the desire is there, and you only have to see that in that performance against Loch Lane. As daft as it sounds, beating an amateur side, I mean, it sounds a bit daft, doesn't it? But beating an amateur side in the way that we did and the way they conducted themselves and the lineup that we put out makes me believe that this side's really, really pushing for something.
Yeah, it did, and I think I spoke about before the game about giving respect to Loch Lane, and I said the team they put out and the way they played, I think that was giving ultimate respect to Loch Lane. It was saying, look, we're Hull KR, we know we're the Challenge Cup winners, we know the top winners, etc. We're treating this game against you, Loch Lane, as we would treat a game against Lee or St Helens or Wigan or Leeds. And I think from a Loch Lane perspective, I was one of those players. I'm thinking, wow, that's great. If they'd sort of Rovers had gone into that game thinking all half-heartedly and just sort of messing around, doing fancy tricks at everything, I'd get me pissed off. Yeah. But the fact they didn't, they went in, did a thoroughly professional job, and gave Loch Lane the ultimate respect. And I think that's in the years to come, I think that those players, they've got that experience playing at Craven Park against some Challenge Cup, the treble winners. The way they would play the threat will help that, instill that in them going forward, and just think, that was a great day.
I'll tell you what, Gary, I text Brad afterwards, after we got home after the game, and just said, I tell you what, you boys gave my lad a great lesson in, even when your back's against the wall and you're being pumped, you never gave up. You kept playing. You played the game. The players kept going. And what a lesson that is in terms of adversity. Do you know, even when it's not going your way, you keep going. And that's what Loch Lane did. And we'll sign off with that. You know, we're into the fourth round, and now we've got Huddersfield, Gary. I mean, it's funny how the fixtures work out, isn't it? Because then we've got Huddersfield twice on the bounce in terms of after we get.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's weekend of the 14th, 15th, or 15th, 16th.
Yeah. Ideally, you'd have had a championship side or a home game. That's always the mantra, isn't it? The Robins can't wait to get sides back out Craven Park, but that's a roll of the dice, isn't it? And what we've learnt with this side is that to just go with it. They just go with it, and the Robins supporters will be there in numbers. But when you look at the rest of the draw, that is it, really, isn't it? There's not a lot more. You can look at that Huddersfield side in terms, because we don't know that Huddersfield side what they may be like either.
No, we've got to wait, haven't we? We've got to wait until the first couple of games are done, and then we'll have a better chance. I think it's really. I was listening or watching something about Huddersfield today. I think it was on. I don't know anyway, and they were saying it's real surprising that they've got Evalds as number one. Because who was it last year? The guy who wears people are going to be throwing stuff at the telly and
Flanagan
radios. The guy with the head.
Yeah, George Flanagan.
Yeah, he was number one, really, wasn't he, last year? Because Evalds was injured, wasn't he? But yes, and he's got a different number. He's got a different squad number. So they said there's obviously some kind of power play going on there, and how that's going to affect them this season. But that's a couple of games away, isn't it? We can talk about that later on. But yeah.
Yeah, do you reckon, James, Huddersfield away, Challenge Cup? It's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is, but you still got to approach it the same way as in a professional manner. It's a job to be done. You got to go in there and do it, get it out of the way. Just go back to that semi-final in 2022 when we thought, we've got Huddersfield in the semi-final. We just went, and everything that could have gone wrong that day went wrong. We should, we were the favourites, and we just didn't turn up. Huddersfield will be wanting to. Okay, realistically, the cup is going to be Huddersfield's only chance of any silverware this year, I would have thought. So they're going to be up for it. So yeah, we've got to go in there and do a job on them.
Yeah, and James, same with you. If you look at the Wakefield Trinity friendly, and then of course the Loch Lane Challenge Cup game, there's a couple of players for me who stood out. I think Jack Broadbent looks really good. Cal Lawton seems to has done really well. And then what surprised me with the Loch Lane lineup was Tyrone May and Reece Martin, bearing in mind that they went to the Southern Hemisphere to play for Papua New Guinea and Samoa, respectively. The other international players has been rested. They've not played. Reece Martin, set a new club record, didn't he, with his 16 kicks, missed 2, by the way. He could have
rubbish. It's rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the ironic boos from the East End. But his kickings. It was, if you watch his kicking stat, it's almost effortless, isn't it? How he kicks the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see kicking next season. But in terms of the lineup and players who performed well in pre-season, it's hard to read so much into it, but I do think Jack Broadbent, Cal Lawton, they're going to be 2 really important players for us next season in terms of their utility value.
Yeah, I think we know we'll get with Jack Broadbent anyway, don't we, from last season. He was like, one of the real standouts. And I think Lawton, like I said, I was very impressed with him on Friday night when he was playing hooker. Then he also went into loose forward when Minchella went off. And again, I thought he looked really useful. I think that's one of the advantages he's going to bring to the side, that he can play in a number of positions. I think he can play the backs as well, I believe. So yeah, I think again he's going to want to come over and prove a point as well. I think a lot of the NRL players, when they do come over, I think he was on a contract at the Cowboys, wasn't he? And then sort of Rovers came in and sort of said, "Well, come play over here." So yeah, looking forward to seeing how he goes. Like I said, we know how Jack Broadbent goes. I thought I was quite impressed with Bill Leyland on Friday night as well. And I think the fact that both him and Lawton are in the squad for York is a testament to probably how Peters has seen it as well.
Yeah, and Carl Lawton, Gary, what I found really interesting is there's been a couple of interviews carried on the NRL.com website as a prelude to obviously the World Cup Challenge. One of the interviews was with Carl Lawton, and he said that Super League, or Rovers in particular, have been training harder than an NRL side. And what I looked at that Loch Lane team, the side who featured against Loch Lane, and I looked at what Lawton said, and I looked at one player who's really benefited from a couple of years with the Robins, and that's also Sue. So if you look at the picture when we signed him from Newcastle, he looked like with the greatest respect, a bit of an old man, like he had his hair, like it just didn't. I tell you what, the transformation to being where he is now, which is full credit to him, but he looks fitter than when he came from the NRL.
Yeah, I stopped showing. Stopped showing my wife my phone of the pictures of all the team from the training camp in Tenerife. It was just, I think most of them had their tops off, didn't they? Yeah, I know what you mean. You think to yourself, how has he got that fit? You know, but he does put in. I mean, he's a great asset, isn't he? You know, and I suppose again that's the professionalism, isn't it? There's no room anymore for a journeyman player who's just going to be here for a year just to end their career, you know. So Asso has taken on board and he wants to play and he's got to be fit enough to play. Same as everybody, you know. Yeah.
I was going to say, James, so we talk about professionalism. Was he a point where he was worried in terms of the transition, in terms of the off-field staff? So obviously Sean Kenny-Dowell departing, Danny Ward, who's played such a big part, and then Luke Gale coming in. And then, of course, Thompson, you know. Yeah. Was you worried about the transition? Because at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any problem with continuity whatsoever.
I suppose when you get those changes at that sort of level, and you appreciate what those have brought to the club, there is a bit of uncertainty about, you know, what the potential future holds. But then, I sort of trust the process in terms of Willie Peters isn't going to bring anybody in who doesn't trust or want to work with. And then I think you look at who the likes of Ian Watson coming in and Luke Gale.
I will say, I did say Thompson. I was literally looking at notes for something else. I did mean Ian Watson.
Yeah. Because, you know, again, they've probably got, both of those have got things they'll probably want to prove. They'll probably see themselves as, you know, a future in the career as coach. And obviously, Watson's been head coach at Huddersfield and Salford already. He's got Salford to, you know, he managed to get Salford to a grand final and a Challenge Cup. So he's obviously got something about him. And then Luke Gale, you know, great player, obviously went to the Wakefield Academy. I think they had a pretty decent season last season. But, you know, clearly he sees his future on the coaching side. And, you know, coming to somewhere like Rovers where, you know, you got the ethos, you've got the culture, you've got, you know, probably, you know, had taskmaster like Willie Peters who goes to detail into everything. Is going to show those guys what it needs to be to get to be a top coach. And I don't think, you know, it's going to be the transition for me will be seamless. You know, it's quite a smart move in the end, I think, you know, really. But yeah.
Yeah, and that shows you about being smart, not being comfortable. What was remarkable as well, Gary, about the Loch Lane game is it was Willie Peters' 100th game in charge.
Yeah,
of the
I read that. I watched his pre-match press today, and one of the journalists said, "Congratulations on your 100th game." It's amazing, isn't it? It doesn't seem like he's been here for 100 games, does it? Really?
And I tell you what, how astute Willie Peters is. I bet he could recollect every game during that 100. He's so astute. Yeah. He's so switched on. He's an absolute taskmaster, but he's also such an analyst of the game, and what 100 games it's been, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And if he goes to James 200 games,
Yeah.
where could that take us? That could be absolutely unbelievable, because the 100 games so far has been a bit of a roller coaster.
You know what, right? If he repeats what is repeated in the first 100 games, right, and it goes on another 100 games, so a couple of seasons, we'd still have fans from opposition teams saying, "Yeah, well, Super League's been crap for the last 3 years, hasn't it? Yeah. No wonder you've won it." You're like, well, you're still coming 4th, 5th, and 6th, so it must be crap. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, but it's that progress. Like I say, if he carried on to another 100 games, you just can't really imagine where the potential for the clubs to go to. And it just goes back to that point we said at the beginning of the pod that we don't want to be one season wonders. They want to build that dynasty. That other clubs have had. Your Leeds, your Wigans, your Saints. You look back and you're thinking, you look back and thinking, yeah, they're great. They were great teams.
It was great to hear. It was great to hear Paul Lakin on his interview saying he wants Rovers to be the biggest Northern Hemisphere rugby league club.
Yeah.
And this is what the club have done. What they've done, whether it's on field, off field, they set a high benchmark. But what they do is, they don't just use it as an aspiration. They then back it up by putting resources into achieving that.
Use it as a template,
that's,
move on.
Everyone can have a goal, everyone can have a dream, but what are you doing about it? How are you going to back it up? How are you going to achieve it? And every time I hear Paul Lakin, I hear Willie Peters, I even, when I hear Elliot Minchella and more recently some of the other leadership, there's another podcast with Jez Litton, what he's done with Davey Litton, his nephew, on Sky Sports. The boys just talk so well about the club, the goal, and also what I've found really refreshing is how humble they are as well. They do set out, big goals. They demand a lot, but actually they're quite humble about it. And that's really refreshing because, as an East Hull club, a working class community, we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, but also we do enjoy and relish the moments, which is going to become apparent, James, because the after the York game on Thursday night is the Hull KR documentary Renaissance, which the club have released details about. There's going to be 2 episodes after the game against York, and then I think the following Super League games.
Yeah, you can get them. So it's 10:15 and 10:45, I think, on Thursday night. And then if you've got on demand or you're able to download, you can download them all from Sky Sports.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody who's allegedly got a fire stick, and apparently in Australia, the first 2 series. Well, this is it's nothing to do with me, but this is what I've been told.
I think it's an urban myth.
The first 2 episodes have already been aired in Australia, and people who have watched them first 2 episodes have told me it's an absolutely brilliant watch, and it puts the club in such a great light. Also, it just shows some of the stories around not just the players, but the club and what the club means to people. So if you get the opportunity to watch them over the next few weeks, definitely do it.
What they haven't told you is those people who have allegedly got these fire sticks, they could only watch it in Japanese. So they're waiting for Thursday night.
Yeah, allegedly. But I'll tell you what, James, what a great opportunity to put our club into the spotlight and really showcase not just the on-field success, but what it means to the wider community, the fan base, and showcase some of them stories that we don't see. But also not just for us as an East Hull community, but to go put it out on a national stage, an international stage. And that's how you expose a club. That's how you tell, we've seen it with Netflix and the football documentary, football club like Wrexham and all these kind of things. But to have it on a rugby league level, is absolutely fantastic, and no doubt it's cost the club money to do this. I saw the executive producers were Neil Hudgell and Paul Lakin, so they've had eyes over all of it. So they will have gone through it for like a fine tooth comb. But what a great opportunity is this, just to put the club on a world stage.
It is, and it's just the fact that it's being shown in Australia first. Obviously it's I'll say probably part of the build up towards the World Championship, but Rovers on the people's lips anyway because of what they've done. The fact that Brisbane are coming over to the UK to play Rovers at in a couple of weeks or so. I just saw something, even on social media, the coverage they've even had around the Lock Lane game. I mean, Fox League put something out about Rovers having a white hot start to the season, and this evening the well, which ruffled a few feathers again. So it's all great publicity. I mean, say it's just putting the club on a global stage. You think 2 weeks in February we're playing Brisbane, and we're playing in Vegas, and it's going to be our coverage in the NRL, Australia, worldwide, and you just think money. You just can't buy that sort of exposure, without breaking the bank, and it's just great to see. Great to see.
Yeah, it is definitely, and we've got lots to get through. So let's move on to. I mean, it's only as we record this now, Thursday night we're playing York, Gary, in the Super League opener. It's a showcase event. All eyes on the Robins as we take on newly promoted York. Apparently, we asked for an easy fixture to start the season off. What did you make of that?
That's what the rumours are, aren't they?
Yeah. Do you think there's any truth in that? Do you think it puts a little bit more fire in the belly of York? Or
I would imagine there's. I imagine there's a little bit of influence, right? We're representing Northern Hemisphere Rugby League in the World Club Challenge, right? So. Be nice, wouldn't it, for the powers that be? And I'd hope they would do this for any team, to give them a fairly easy fixture as their first fixture. I'm not sure how the fixtures are designed. I don't know if they're just put into some kind of formula and they just come out. They must do something, so something automated. Yeah, I don't care. We've got to play York at some point, so now I'd do it the first game of the season. I've still got to drive all the way there, so it doesn't matter where we are, really.
Just another 45 minutes further.
Yeah. It's actually, you can get on the motorway a little bit quicker. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, the squads were released early today. James, the Robins, of course, have gone strong, haven't they? Artemog, Tom Davis, Pet Hiku, Oliver Gildart, Joe Burgess, Mikey Lewis, Tyrone May, Sal Sue, Jez Litton, Dean Hadley, James Batchelor, Elliot Minchella, Jack Broadbent, Sam Luckley, Jai Whitbread, Reece Martin, Jack Brown, Carl Lawton, Noah Booth, Bill Leyland, Tom Whitehead. I mean, the interesting ones there are Sam Luckley, Jai Whitbread, because they have been carrying injuries. So they've been, we wondered whether there was going to be a risk. We saw, of course, Tyrone May line up against Lock Lane. He went off after about 35 minutes. That was him done. And then we're seeing the big boys coming back out with the England players who featured Joe Burgess, Mikey Lewis, Jez Litton. It's a formidable lineup. When you try to pick the 18 from that, it's hard to then pick who's going to miss out, isn't it? If you go literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's no 10 because, of course, Tom Amon's not there. And then you go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. For me, the squad starts picking itself for Thursday. But
you want any game, don't you? You want your first. You want numbers 1 to 18, don't you? Really, for any game, because they're the ones who are on your team sheet first. I think he's already said Sam Luckley will probably play today. I think in his pre-press he said he's looking like he's fit enough to play. I think that's what he said. I think I heard his name and some mention of that. I think, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's tough, which is why we're doing a podcast and not sat up with our coffee debating the team. with Ian and Luke. You know, it's not a tough team. It's a great team, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think you look at that squad that's been announced there, and you think to yourself, I think you mentioned it, didn't you, for James, in the before we went on air, how good it was. There's no poor players there, are there?
No.
And if you look at the squad, James, I was going to say, if you look at the squad, there's probably a player I think who's done really well who's going to miss out, Bill Leyland.
Yeah.
I think he's really took the game to the opposition in the last the Wakefield game and the Lock Lane game. Jack Brown probably is going to be 18th man again.
But he was decent. I thought he was decent on Friday night. You know, I thought he had a good game on Friday night. You know, he put his hand up.
Yeah, but you know, you look at the side and the numbers pretty much dictate who's going to be playing, don't they? Our strongest team is picked, and barring injuries, you know, it's a formidable lineup, of course, across the course of the season, because them players. What I really like about Willie Peters, and some people may disagree, is he has his first 13 lined up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people may disagree with that because they may say, well, it's a squad game. Every player's got to have the opportunity. And I don't doubt that is the case. But imagine the confidence it gives to them players. Yeah. But then it goes back to trust and responsibility. Yeah. And it goes back to, I will put you as number 2. I will give you a squad number and you will play. I'll tell you what, though, if you let me down or you don't, you know, we've got 5-6 players behind the scenes who can step up into your position. Yeah. So it's that jeopardy, I think, that I really like in terms of, and it was apparent last season as well, James, wasn't it? That Willie Peters had, you look at Oliver Gildart, and we saw how Jack Broadbent filled in his place, but then as soon as Gildart was fit, that was it. Gildart was literally straight back into the side.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it, or do you just trust in Willie?
Trust in Willie, I think last season there's a few games where we thought maybe he'll rest a few players this week and give a few players a bit of a week off, etc. Because we had that strength in depth, but he didn't. He just went with his full strength team every week, and I suppose there's some concerns. I think probably at the time that I think getting players might be burnt out, etc. Coming towards the business end of the season, but ultimately, so that night at Old Trafford, it worked out, and what Peters did was fully justified, and I think it also shows to the players that do get selected that you can see that quality that is behind them in the squad, chomping at their heels to get into that team, and they know they've got to play 100% every single week, and minimal errors, etc. Put the 100% effort in, and then if they do that, they'll keep the place. If they don't, they'll be out, and somebody else will come in. Just as I say, going back to the squad for Thursday night, looking at the props, I think maybe soon Hadley will start with Luckley and Whitburn off the bench, and then you think, well, I just saw Whitehead. I thought was really good on Friday night. Again, he first I'd seen him, he put his hand up, looked a very good prospect. He could come into it, and I say Jack Brown. Jack Brown was on 18th man, but again, I thought he was really good on Friday night. So as Gary said, that's why we're talking on a podcast and not leaving the tough decisions to Mr. Peters.
And I mean, we're taking on the York side, of course, newly promoted from the Championship, Gary. They've made a host of new. There's going to be a host of new recruits on show. Some familiar to the Robins: Sam Wood, Justin Sangagar, Danny Richardson. Yeah. They're joined by Josh Griffin, everyone's favourite ex-black and white player, Paul Vaughan, Denise Bamforth, Jack Smith. They're joining some really experienced players in terms of Jordan Thompson, Paul McShane, Ben Jones Bishop, Liam Harris, Hingano. I wouldn't say it's the best squad, but they have the opportunity to pick us off, and they've got no greater motivation than playing the Robins in the season opener at home in what is pretty much going to be a full stadium.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for them to lay a marker down and give us a bloody nose if you want. And this is where the Robins have really got to stand up in terms of.
Yeah, I think we're on a. It's one of the. I think for Rovers, it's one of those. If we beat them by 30 points, we're beaten by 30 points. It's only York, isn't it? If we beat them by a try and a goal, it's like, Christ, why did you perform that poorly against York? We can't win, can we? Outwards, we can't win. But as long as we win, I think we will. I think I've put 20 points for my fantasy league or something like that. I can't remember for my prediction. But yeah, I think there are some good players in there that have been good players. Need to see them this season. You know, Paul Vaughan, I think, was overused by Warrington a little bit, and I think maybe Paul McShane lucky to be playing after his performance the last weekend with a red card rescinded or his ban turned around. I think they'll put up a. I'm hoping Rovers go through the usual routine where we just suffocate them and then roll over them, like we did with many teams last season. Soak up the pressure, get a few tries, and then just carry on. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, James, is this a game where you look at it and is a scoreline important? Is a score, or is it just about getting the win, or are we looking at it going, actually, we need to put performance in because of what's coming next in February?
I think the future performance will look after themselves. I think what's important for me on Thursday night is just getting the result. I think you look historically at what's happened in the early games of the season. You do get some funny results. I mean, you have to go back to last season. We beat Castleford in Golden Point, and then we went to Wakefield the following week and really struggled against them. And then it's probably only about, I think we played Salford in round 3 when they were just sort of starting to implode, everything just sort of clicked. And from then we just basically took off. So I think York will be up for it. Like I say, they're playing in front of a full house, best game in Super League. They've got some really good experience in that team as well. So for me, it's coming out of that game with a win. As long as we win, that's all that matters to me. I'm not bothered about performance. I'm just concerned about getting that win.
Yeah, it is a big game. It's the Super League opener. It's what everyone's got eyes on. Everyone's hoping that York win, unless you're from a red and white dissuasion. But like we said, who knows what's going to happen on Thursday night? We're all hoping it's Robins' victory. And also, there's an opportunity, Gary, for some players in that Robins side to potentially play themselves out of the team in terms of what they do. So, this game's got so many variables in it in terms of what it means to different people. As supporters, we just want to win. We just want to win 2 points. But also, from a coaching point of view, they're looking at it and they'll be looking at certain players to see how they perform. And like we just said about on the back of what's happened in pre-season, some players will be chomping at the bit to get into that team. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens with that.
It'd be nice to come away, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to come away with a win. Even last weekend just gone has taken its toll on some other teams, hasn't it? Injury-wise. It'd be nice to come out of the game with a win and no injuries. That'd be a double bonus, wouldn't it? That'd be great in readiness for the Brisbane game. Yeah,
definitely. Right, let's move on because if you're going to the York game on Thursday night, and if you're listening to this, hopefully as you're travelling over, I mean, it's an hour from Hull to York, so this is a perfect opportunity to listen to the Robin pod. So I hope you are doing so. We have got question time. We've got questions to answer. We've got a couple of other things in terms of, as well, a competition that we're about to launch where you've got the opportunity to win some great gear from a company called Offside Outfitters who are doing some great Rovers gears. So I'll bring that in shortly. But let's start with question time. Now, someone messaged me and said, "I've already sent you I've sent you these questions, so make sure you answer them." Right. So, and I've just got the message, and it's circled in red. Like, okay. No, I won't read that. I've just read it now the first time. I won't be reading. Joel, if you're listening, I'm not going to get involved in any of that to do with Kingswood and shirts and all stuff like that. Right. So what we will do is go to question time. So these questions are from, let's start off with the first one. Right.
Professional, John. You can tell you're a professional.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it took 5 years. Right. Okay. Richard Fewless, he says, what's your thoughts on the Challenge Cup draw as opposed to being on TV? I mean, it is a bit of a farce, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
So the context I will add is that they made a big thing, the RFL, of making the Challenge Cup third round like the football third round. So the FA Cup third round.
Bring the pros in, yeah.
Bring the pros in against low league opposition. You get a few games. And what they then do is put maximum exposure on it. Whereas it seems like the RFL have introduced this and then sort of not really done much about it. And
it's just, why do they always shoot themselves in the foot? Just, even if you get somebody with a mobile phone to record it and stream it. It's not that difficult.
If I can sit in my kitchen recording this, I'm sure somebody at the RFL could put a camera up to record it down Cup draw. Do you know what I mean? It basically, and also we're in a visual era, aren't we? You know, people want to see things. People validate their opinions based on what they see, and if the draw's not visual, it leads to suspicion. Let alone the fact that they got the numbers wrong for, like in the third round.
Yeah.
If you go by alphabetical order, Hull KR and Hull FC were the right way around, and then in this draw, there was the wrong way around. Now, James, is there any answers to that? I can't see any other answer as to why there'd be the wrong way around in alphabetical order. And don't forget on the draw as well, they're called York City Knights, and they haven't been called that for the past 2 years. And it's just amateurish stuff, which is supposed to be one of the flagship competitions for rugby league in this country, and it just doesn't. It just a bit slapdash.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the number one was a bit of an odd one, but it is what it is, isn't it? Just an excuse for some other club supporters to get a bit upset instead of having a more difficult away game than they might have thought they were getting.
Yeah, Julie Rodman, who's a great follower of the Robin Pod, she makes a great point. She says, who was a standout young player last week, of course, against Lock Lane? Should we play them against Huddersfield or York for experience, or send them out to championship sides? I think Willie Peters has said, hasn't he, the squad's going to be really important this season. So I don't expect to see too many players going out on loan. We've seen Junior Sambu go to Oldham to Widnes for the season. I don't think there'll be that many players going out.
Neither do I. I think I think he mentioned it in today's press release. There are no weeks off this year, are there? Because of the numbers of the teams in the league now. I thought to answer the question, Julie, I thought Jack Charles had a great game.
Yeah.
I also thought, obviously, Harvey Horn with his tries had a great game as well. I thought, those were the two young player standouts for me, that I noticed the most. One of them,
Yeah, and I think Gary, I was going to say, Gary, on the I think Robin Pod a couple of weeks ago, what we were saying about these early games was, you're not pushing yourself into the first team, but what you're doing is pushing yourself into the next cab in the rank. Yeah. I.e., if a player does get injured, actually, and we saw how well Noah Booth did when he came into the side last week. Actually,
you never know, do you? You never know who's going to get injured.
Yeah, you might not be the challenging to be the starter, but you're challenging yourself to be the next one. And we know in rugby league, injuries can happen at any time. You know, it's such a physical game. So they've done great jobs. Richard Fewless, again, he says, the new Man of Steel panel a bit one-sided for Wigan and Saints, or was that the idea? Now, of course, the Man of Steel judging voting has changed in 2026. So previously, you would have a group of around 25 players, and one player would be chosen from that group. They'd watch the game, and then they'd rate players on a 3-1 basis. That's changed now. So the new system is they've got 5 people on the judging panel: Ellery Hanley, Joe Lydon, Paul Sculthorpe, James Robinson, Sam Tompkins. I mean, individually, absolutely fantastic players who have achieved, all you can in rugby league. There's some people saying there's a bit of a bias against St Helens and Wigan. There's no really Yorkshire representatives in that. But also, how they will decide on this season's Man of Steel is they will meet on 3 separate occasions, and they will select a shortlist based on some data provided to them and their opinions. And then on the final third meeting, they will then decide a final shortlist. And then with that final shortlist, they will then decide the winner. So a lot of people said after Jake Connell won it, something had to change. I don't know if the new system's much better based on basically it's people's opinions on it's 5 people's. I don't know what the perfect answer is.
Isn't it? Who's caught the right in that period? So the period between game 1 and is it game 8? Is it 8? I don't know what it was. Or was it 9?
Yeah, it's like the blocks are in thirds, I think. So
yeah, and it's who's caught your eye, isn't it? Which I suppose is one way of doing it. I prefer statistics view. But then somebody said to me, what if you score a load of tries against a Salford, for example, last season? That means your statistics are a bit skewed. But there's got to be a better way.
I am informed that there's data presented as well. So
right,
it is
okay.
like,
all right.
If you say, Gary, I think Joe Bloggs is brilliant, and all the stats go, hang on, that's where the panel comes in to go, well, the data's not done. But I don't think we're going to end up with. Well, we might end up with a winner. I don't know. Who everyone
can't please everybody, can you? You can't please everybody. And you can have a perfect system, and FC fans would still complain. So,
yeah.
But one of the things that people were tipping, and it goes back to James, the Back 10 podcast, and what Paul Cook and Carl Amor suggested is that they reckon Jez Litton potentially is in running for the Man of Steel based on the ruck speed that teams now can play with, because some of the slight tweaks to the rules about that, and there's no doubt Jez Litton, for example, has propelled himself so far forward in terms of what he did last season for the Robins, then what he did in the Ashes, and also the age he's at now. He is a part of the senior leadership group. He's a senior player. There's a bit of money behind. I think if you're in the betting stakes, there's a bit of money behind Jez Litton at the moment for that potentially that Man of Steel award.
Yeah. I think if he carries on how he played, obviously last season played in the Ashes, I think he's got to be in with it. But personally, I'm just struggling to understand how they are going to sort of do the whole thing anyway. It's still going to come down to opinions at the end of the day. Yeah. I suppose there's no easy way to do it. But like I say, I think the way they pick the panel just probably is opening it up to, I suppose, questions of objectivity. And then when you've got
well, I saw James. You weren't a fan of it on social media, was you?
No, I wasn't. No, because when you got like you have one of the panelists and his son plays for one of the Super League teams, and one of the other panelists, brother coaches a team. Yeah, it's
well, we'll see what we in terms
we'll
of.
See.
Yeah, we'll see, and we're always hoping for better outcomes. We have got just one more question, I think, on Instagram, which comes from, and then we've got something else which is really exciting in terms of the competition that we mentioned. There you go. Well, 1 on 8, Robin. He says Derby treble or winning Vegas. God, we are literally. I don't. That's hard, isn't it? That's like either or, isn't it? A Derby treble or a win in Vegas.
Derby treble.
Derby treble's down points. 6 points. Win in Vegas, 2 points.
One at all of them.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I look at that and go, I think we'll be good for both of them.
Treble.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Right. Great opportunity to now win some great gear from Offside Outfitters. If you are listening to this Robin Pod right now on podcast, or you're watching it on YouTube, if you head over to the Robin Pod Facebook account, Offside Outfitters, it's a new company. They're doing Rovers gear. They are offering people the opportunity to win a bundle of gear, a cap, a hat, a hoodie. It's really great quality stuff. We're going to get on the next Robin Pod. The founder behind it talk to us about some of the new ranges that they may be bringing in, and also their reasoning for doing it. So make sure if you are listening or watching this now, head over to Facebook, like, share the post, make sure that you like Urban Outfitters. All the information's on there. Offside Outfitters, and make sure that you do that, and then you'll be in with a chance of winning some free gear, especially when they've got a Las Vegas range, which is looking very good. A huge thanks, James and Gary, for joining me on the Robin Pod this week. We are literally just over 1 hour, so I am going to cut you both off. But for you guys who are heading to York, and for everybody else, make sure that you live, love, laugh, and be happy.
Whatever the game, the Red Army's passion is always the same.
45 years of hurt in the Challenge Cup. 40 years of hurt as a team. Hull have won the Challenge Cup in 2025.